Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Is Mack leaving Emmerdale, and does he die? The following article contains spoilers from an episode of Emmerdale that hasn't aired on ITV1 yet, but can be viewed on ITVX. Mackenzie Boyd was involved in a very deadly showdown with John Sugden last week in Emmerdale, and it left fans wondering if we'd ever see him again. We revealed the news about Mack at the start of this month. A source told us, "The Jones story has so many twists and turns to come, and this will come as a genuine surprise to fans. Mack has survived quite a lot over the years, but this time it's not looking so good. What the horrific turn of events does is set the stage for an exciting next stage to John's saga later in the autumn that will leave fans quite literally on edge." ITVX takes a look at what happened in last week's episode of Emmerdale and what the twist in the latest installment means for Mack. What happens in Emmerdale tonight? In some dark scenes that will air on ITV1 this evening, Mack's fate is revealed. Aaron Dingle, Danny Miller, wakes up and finds John isn't beside him in the bed. This is because he's back in the same woodland area we've seen him in for a lot of this week. He heads back and quickly faces another problem as he realizes Aaron has broken into the locked door he found yesterday. Aaron discovers that John lied about where they were staying. It isn't a holiday cottage at all, but it is John's childhood home. John quickly distracts Aaron from the massive lie by telling him about how his mom died of cancer and the impact it had on him. Because Aaron has experience with family members also receiving the diagnosis, he's able to connect with John and understand his points. Discussion then turns to Aaron and John potentially moving into the house together. Seriously, they better get rid of those dolls. Aaron agrees with John's idea and smiles. Just before the installment ends, John heads back to the woods. He moves some leaves from the floor, and we then discover an entrance to an underground bunker. We won't reveal the exact details of how the scenes play out, but by the time the credits roll, you will discover that Mackenzie Boyd is alive. What happened in Mack and Jay's showdown? Due to how the scenes played out on the 21st of August, it certainly looked as though Mackenzie was killed by John Sugden. After Mackenzie found proof that John potentially wasn't a Sugden, he hopped into his van and faced a tense drive to the train station. John pulled over by the side of the road and told Mack he needed his help with fixing something in the back of his vehicle. With fear running through his veins, Mack feigned ignorance for a little while, claiming he was being quiet because he had a headache. But by this point, John was already 5 steps ahead of Mack. He confirmed that he knew Mack looked at the scrapbook, and as a result, a bit of a problem had been created. As far as Mack was concerned, he was perfectly happy to just go to London and ignore everything he had learned about John. But in a haunting twist, John told Mack he wouldn't be going to London anymore. With no time to process the twist about Nate, Mack shoved John and tried to buy himself some time. They had a fight, and Mack raced into the woods, kick-starting a very deadly game of cat and mouse. As Mack ran, John followed behind him with a bow and arrow in hand. He tried to get John to stop, but outrunning him, literally and metaphorically, wasn't ever going to be possible. John pulled another arrow, and it hit Mack, causing him to fall and desperately crawl to a safe area. John found Mack and made it clear there was no way he'd be getting out of this alive. He spoke about how much he hates Mackenzie and that he didn't want things to go this far. With that, John found a giant boulder, lifted it above his head, and threw it down, seemingly killing Mack in that moment. Back in the village, John returned and said goodbye to his loved ones. Ready for his holiday with Aaron, he then spotted some blood dripping from his van door and knew he had to act fast. He told Aaron that he needed to get fuel, wiped the blood, and got inside. John glanced into the back, staring at the blanket covering Mack's body. What has Lawrence Robb said about Mack dying? Robb spoke about what's ahead for Mack and the rumors about his character's death fairly recently, which meant he couldn't reveal any huge spoilers. When appearing on ITV daytime show Loose Women to talk about the ongoing surrogacy storyline that has seen Charity Dingle decide to be a surrogate for granddaughter Sarah Sugden, the awkward matter of his upcoming exit was addressed. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask Jane more. There's lots of rumors that Mack might be getting killed off. I'm staying. Lawrence, visibly squirming, replied, Yeah, there are lots of rumors, and rumors they shall remain. A boo. Quick thinking, though, Denise Welch didn't look too convinced. Co-host Colleen Nolan then chimed in, asking if that was the case. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but do they discuss that with you straight away or about a month before it's happening? I've always said being in the show, I never want to be too prescriptive with it. I've always enjoyed doing what I'm doing. Ultimately, if when the time for Mack to leave comes, whether that be my choice or the writer-producers, I'll be thankful for the time that I've had, he concluded. Ultimately, nobody is safe in the show. It's most dangerous village in the country. Emmerdale airs game-changing Mack twist, as his fate is finally confirmed. John's scheming continues. Emmerdale has finally confirmed the fate of Mackenzie Boyd, and it's a twist that changes everything. Last week, Mack faced the wrath of John when he realized that the sinister villain was responsible for Nate's death. But a tense showdown in the woods ended with John shooting Mack with a crossbow before brutally hitting him with a rock. It seemed impossible that Mack could survive this horrific attack, but some viewers were skeptical as to whether he had actually been murdered. Meanwhile, John has since disappeared with Aaron for a holiday in a remote cottage, but Aaron has begun to get suspicious of his husband, especially when he discovered a strange locked room in the house that John was pretty cagey about. In today's episode, Aaron told a neighbor that they'd spoken to the owner of the cottage about buying it, but she revealed that the owner had died over a year ago. Realizing that his husband had lied to him again, Aaron used an opportunity to finally gain access to the locked room. When John was out, Aaron investigated and discovered that this was John's old bedroom and that they were staying in his childhood home. When John confronted him, John explained that his mom died in this house and he hadn't been ready to talk about this trauma. Aaron believed this story, and he even agreed to move to the cottage with John permanently. Back in the village, Charity grew increasingly worried about Mack, continuing to send her husband messages and sharing her frustrations with Moira. She enjoyed a fun family day with Ross, but when he tried to kiss her, Charity made it clear that Mack would soon be coming back home. And Charity might be right, as we then discover that Mack is in fact still alive, and that John is currently holding him captive in a creepy underground bunker in the woods. While this shock twist confirms that Mack isn't actually dead, he is still seriously injured and appears to be in a very bad way. What will John do next, and will Mack survive this frightening ordeal? John killed his mom, and Mackenzie isn't alone down there. All the theories on what else John Sugden is hiding. There's a lot to unpick with this latest John revelation. So we now know John Sugden did not kill Mackenzie Boyd in Emmerdale. Instead, he has him locked away in an underground bunker. An underground bunker that is conveniently placed near his childhood home where he is staying with husband Aaron Dingle. These revelations came out in Friday's episode, the 29th of August, and we are more than sure Emmerdale is not done with the reveals yet. So what's coming? Theories are already abounding. Here's our favorites. What happened in Emmerdale tonight? John was acting shifty, and Aaron found out he had lied about calling the landlord. He found that out because the neighbor told Aaron the landlord had died over a year ago and was a woman. Knowing it was all to do with the locked room, Aaron used his good old Dingle skills to pick the lock. Once inside, he found all of John's things: football trophies, childhood memorabilia, and plenty of newspaper cuttings declaring his husband a hero. John arrived, and Aaron wanted answers over his lies, but John fobbed him off with a sob story. He told Aaron he hadn't said anything because it was too painful, given the house was where his mom died, as cancer had killed her. John was upset he hadn't been able to save her. Of course, the cancer mention, given his grand Faith died from it and Mom Chaz also battled it, was enough to get Aaron to back down. He even agreed they should move to the cottage together, for good. But then we saw John sneak out and open the hatch to an underground bunker. Inside was a groggy, barely conscious, but definitely alive Mackenzie. So he's not dead. What else is John Sugden hiding? Although this reveal was huge, Not that we didn't see it coming. Of course, Emmerdale has promised more twists and turns in the new chapter. So while we don't know what's going to happen to Mack in the end, we do know there's plenty of drama ahead before this is over. But what can we expect? Did John Sugden kill his mom in Emmerdale? The talk of John's mom and her suffering got us wondering, did he have something to do with her death? We know he likes to play the hero, and it broke him when he couldn't save her. So what if the only way he could be heroic was by ending her suffering himself? Fans certainly seem to think so, but they're not being quite as kind and think he actually murdered her. His cancer BS story sounded fake to me. Not sure if he killed her, but he definitely did something to her. One wrote on X. Another added, "Are we all thinking the same thing? John killed his own mother. Ain't no way he hasn't killed before. He's a psychopath." Why does John...